Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday night live stream. We are on episode 33. Before we get started, I just want to show you the membership video, and we'll get straight into tonight's sculpt.
So, you want to join my membership?
Gotcha. Sign up.
By joining, you won't only unlock members-only content, you'll also be supporting my channel and the growth of the community. Are you ready to do your part?
I'm doing my part.
For as little as a price of coffee a month,
God damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet shit.
you'll be able to access all past live streams and get exclusive members-only content.
Yeah, boy.
That's less than 49p a video.
Shut up and take my money.
So if you're ready, join now and become part of this 3D journey.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
All right, so you saw there, you can become a member and you can grab all the past live streams. So that's the art, that's the dragon tutorial, the anatomy studies that we're doing already at the moment, as well as all the other Thursday night live streams, which are more random, but they have a lot of good stuff in there for like questions people ask, and also there's the portfolio reviews. Next week is the portfolio review, no, actually it's not. It's the week after will be the portfolio review. Oh no, it is this one. Sorry, it is next week will be portfolio review because it's the end of the month. So we'll have that next month Thursday, as well as being a member of the YouTube channel. You can also become a member of the Patreon, and you can sculpt along to the exclusive ZBrush tutorial on how to sculpt a Velociraptor. That's a video a week, and that's on tier level 3. So if you want, you can grab that. It's great for beginners who want to learn how to sculpt. It's a very in-depth course, and also comes along with the files of the course as well. So you'll be able to grab that as a tier 3 member. All right, so let me just get sorted here. So we were working on Godzilla's bust. I'm just gonna show this one. There we are. I'm gonna put some music on and put my banner on. There we are. Cool. So, oops, let me just grab the comment section as well. So if you want, you can ask me any questions you want this live stream. We're just doing a very basic bust of Godzilla's head in these live streams. Just something to relax to and enjoy the sculpt to. If you have any questions you want to ask about this or anything else that you might want to know the answer to, then please don't hesitate to put it in the comment section. But I will be just sculpting this creature and possibly talking about some things that I've seen recently on the news and all that sort of thing. Well, not the news, but media, basically. First sort of discussion I'd like to actually get your thoughts on are, what did you guys think of The Witcher, the new Witcher character from Netflix? Because I don't know if I actually like the look of that one, to be fair. I think if Henry Cavill's not in it, but then again, I'm not a big fan of the Henry Cavill version either, really. Although he's a stronger actor for the role, I find. I still think that he doesn't quite have the look as from the Witcher game, and I know there's a lot of people who might disagree with that, but I think he should have been a bit more rugged. I think Henry Cavill's just got too clean, because you know him from Superman, right? So he's still got too clean a look to him. What we really needed was a really rugged looking character, but that's just my opinion. So tonight's sculpt, we're just going to clean up some of these more detailed areas on Godzilla. We're really trying to define some extra pieces before we merge it together and then go ahead and start using doing more finer sculpts to it, finer pass to it. So I'm also at this point, it's not at this point of the sculpt, you can still go ahead and do major changes, which is great. I wouldn't, if you were sculpting this at this stage, then, and you're not quite ready to move on to the next stage, then this is the part where you can really get in there and define it before you commit to anything. Celestial, good evening, Celestials. Nice to see you in tonight. Just going to make this bigger. Just going to check the reference. So we're just kind of using random references of Godzilla. We're trying to keep it as close to the 2014 style Godzilla, not the original style of Godzilla, which is a bit more freaky. But yeah, it's not coming along too badly. I did find some of these images here, which is really cool. It's like I think this is a model, a maquette, a little statue by, what's his name? Gianluca Roli. I think that's how you say his name. I'm bad with names. Anyone that has spent time on here will know that. I'm gonna get the snake hook brush out real quick. And we're actually going to start to add some of these sort of platelets along the back of his neck here. So I'm just going to, using the snake hook brush, pull some of these out, going down his back. Now we're not going to do the whole, actually it's a bit too much, isn't it? We're not going to do the whole of the character. We're just doing the little bust area. So we don't have to worry too much about the rest of it. So let me just grab an alpha. I really don't like this feature of PureRef. Well, I like the feature of PureRef when it's always on top, but it does get in the way and I have to keep moving things around. Bit of a pain. Right, so just using that alpha is going to make that pinch a little tighter. And grab some of these on the brow here. Pull these out. Oops. This is originally supposed to have been like a 2 to 3 live stream video sort of process, but I think I just got so into sculpting this character or this bust that I just decided I'm just gonna let it go for as long as it needs to actually get finished. And let's just pull these ones out. Now, I might add a couple. Let me just check the other references real quick. Can we get away? I was going to say, can we get away without having to put the ones on top? These ones at the beginning here. But we might not be able to. Maybe we will actually, because if you look at this reference that we were actually originally using, the spines on his back aren't there yet. So maybe we can do something like that for this character. Something similar. Okay. Why is that focal shift so high? Okay. How's everybody's week been? Oh, we got something here from Hoofy76. Good evening, Marcus. Enjoying the Velociraptor very much on Patreon. Thank you very much. Yeah, that took quite a while actually, that tutorial, because what I like to do with the tutorials that I create is basically make them for beginners and exclusively kind of, well, not exclusively, but I try to keep it as basic as possible so that even beginners can sort of follow along to the concept, you know, to the sculpting. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. Let's just what we're going to do here, maybe it gets tricky in the middle because it's the brush is amplified twice because it's got symmetry on. But if I turn symmetry off, it might be able to do it better. Yeah, let's just do it. We should have to do it asymmetrical along the top here. Well, there's another way we can do it. Actually, let's just make a new cylinder. And just going to pinch it. Top here. Symmetry. Duplicate that. I think this is going to be better. Grab the move brush and just create some randomness to the plates, I guess. I'm not going to be too specific about them, so don't worry. In fact, this one, oh, we didn't symmetry it. It doesn't matter. Let me duplicate this one. Move it out to the side first. She's gonna maybe start. I'll just put one here on this side. And now I'll just move that over as well. Oops. Grab the move brush out. Hamid, nice to meet you again. Nice to see you in the chat. Oh, Andreas says, can you give me some insights in what pressure settings you use for the pen display and in ZBrush? Pressure sensor, I normally just keep it to the default Wacom settings. I don't tend to mess around too much with the settings in the Wacom. And for the pen pressure, well, I guess it's just sort of automatically sort of added inside of ZBrush, the pen pressure, depending on what your pen pressure is in your Wacom settings. But like I said, I don't tend to play around with it in the settings. Let me just open it up and see if it's got anything in here. Let me just see real quick. Okay, so here's the Wacom and here's my Pro Pen. So the eraser sensitivity it's all basically this it's all basically in the mid range really. Now I have to sort out my pen because this is a new computer as well. I've had to re-download all the drivers and stuff, so I haven't got around to fixing the pen. But yeah, and then you got ZBrush. Oh, just a logo at the bottom here. Yeah, you can see if you tap on the ZBrush icons, you can also change the sensitivity, but everything is just the same, really. And the display settings, display toggle. Yeah, it's nothing else really. I'm probably missing out, to be fair, not doing my pen sensitivity and all that sort of thing properly, but it's it's worked for me for like 10 years now, so I don't see why I should have to adjust anything, really. Okay, that is going to be okay for that. That'll do. We just rotate them in. Okay, let's merge these down. Oh, we've merged the tongue. 1 second. Oh, press something. Marianne says, I have hand pain and cracking up sensitivity helped a lot. I don't need to press at all. Yeah. Are you using a Cintiq as well? Because I find Cintiqs, I've always been a fan of the Cintiq, really. And I find it a lot more user-friendly, well, easier to use than a normal sort of pen display Wacom tablet. I found when I was using those ones, the pressure I was putting down on the screen on the pen tablet was very, very hard, and yeah, it didn't really work for me. I'm much more. I need to be able to see where my brush is going on the model. I can't do that whole looking up at a screen whilst I sculpt sort of thing. It's not really intuitive. Right. Not that you can go wrong with it. I mean, if anything, I would practice on one of those first, because a lot of studios won't actually have the funding to get you a Cintiq. I know that a couple of studios I've been to, the Cintiqs were always given to the concept artists. So they had the privilege of having the nice 24-inch Wacom tablet with that sort of rotational thing that could rotate on the desk, and I was always jealous about that. But yeah, here's what it is. Andrea says, I'm still afraid to push too hard. No, should be fine. I've pushed much harder. In fact, I've pushed so hard that it started to scratch the screen on the Wacom tablet before. So it's, these things are quite durable. It says, just bought a new Huon Canvas Pro 27-inch 4K. Yeah, they're very robust pieces of technology, these Cintiqs. And even if you sculpt in one place for too long, or you kind of use one place for too long, and you start to see a bit of like scratching on the screen, all you got to do is just get a cloth and some screen spray, and then you can just wipe that off, pretty easily. They're very durable. But I'm always like that as well. I'm always scared to screw up technology, or my technology, or anything really. It's one of those things that you instinctively do for about, let's say, 6 months, maybe even less, and then it's just another piece of tech. It just doesn't matter. It's like if you've ever, a good example is if you bought a phone, right? So when you buy your phone or you get your new phone, I don't know. I always do this, but a lot of people don't. I always buy a screen protector as well as a case, right? Because I always opt out of having the warranty thing, because it's a waste of money. To be fair, it's a waste of time and money to have that. Essentially, I've never really dropped the phone that hard on the floor that I've actually broken it. So yeah, go figure. I think the Apple phones, or whatever you call them, iPhones, I think they had quite a bit of issues with people dropping them, and they just cracked the screens immediately. In fact, I actually dropped one of my friend's iPhones when we went to what was it, Barcelona, and we were sleeping in a hostel, sharing a hostel with other people. I tell you, I can't do that hostel stuff anymore, man. I prefer to have my own hotel and my own room. But we were only there for a couple of days, and we thought, fuck it, we'll just, grab a hostel. And so we went out on a night out, and we came back, and we were on the balcony and sort of chatting away. And for some reason, I don't know why, I kicked my friend's phone because we were sort of sitting on the floor. I must have kicked my friend's phone, and it fell between the crack of the balcony and went straight down. And we were like 4 floors up, and it was like the middle of the night, so there was no one there to open the door, because what happened was the hostel we were on was from ground floor to the 3rd floor, but there was a basement which someone lived in separately. So I had to go and ask them in the morning if they could go and grab the phone. But that whole night I was shitting a brick. I swear to God, because I would have to have, I was thinking how bad has the screen got, because it's a bloody Apple phone. So I went into the morning and I ran downstairs, and I knocked on the door, and I got the person, and he said, he gave me the iPhone, and there wasn't a single scratch on it. And I was like, whoa, thank God. That would have been about, at the time, it would have been about £600 to fix the damn thing. I just didn't have £600 on me. So I was very thankful, because I think what happened was it landed on its side and then it flopped onto the screen side. But because he had a phone case with a bit of a bevel, it never touched the screen. So the screen was absolutely fine. But there was only a little bit of a scratch on the side. And I'm telling you, I can't understand why people don't buy phone protecting cases, and they walk around, because these things are flimsy. You take it, if you don't have a case for it and you put it in your back pocket, especially people who put their phones in their back pockets, I don't get it. Why would you want to put it in the back pocket? As soon as you bend over, that screen is already going to be having a lot of strain on it, and then you go and bend over and it could snap at any minute. I don't know, people are crazy, I guess. You buy the most expensive bloody phone, and then you don't want to protect it. This phone of mine here, I've had for 4 years. I'm not one of those people who cares about phones that much, although I'm talking about them quite a bit now. But yeah, it's lasted me 4 years, and I don't see why I should get a new one anytime soon. I don't do TikTok. I don't do those sort of things. Anything that's social media is basically YouTube or Instagram. So I don't really, for my artwork. So I don't really tend to use it too much, to be fair, for those reasons. Because they keep bringing them out. They keep bringing out like mobile phones every 5-6 months, and it's just like, it's a waste of money. Anyway, it's enough about phones. Celestial says, it's a pity Wacom SyncTeak doesn't have protector screen. Mine is so scratched. Yeah, it will get that way. Just make sure to, replace your pen nib I'd say about every 6 months should do. Because that can, once that gets to a sort of point, like a point, right, or it gets worn down, it will screw up your whole screen. So it's a good idea to keep that in mind. Just using the clay brush. The clay brush is really cool for giving some soft forms, like build up forms on your model, by the way. it makes it look a little bit more organic, and it's not like the standard brush. It's a little bit more organic, and it gives it a little bit of a bumpy texture on the top as well. It's great for skin, scales, rock formations, just giving that little bit of unevenness to the top here. You can even do it on the top of his head here as well. Even though it's supposed to be a little bit flatter, we can even use the inverse of the brush. So just holding down Alt will give you the inverse, and it just gives a little bit of dimples, like a turtle shell or something like that, Marion says, I bought Exami phone 4 years ago. What's that? Exami? Let me try and find it. A second. Exami. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I can watch YouTube for 4 hours train ride, no problem. Charge the battery in 20 minutes from 20 to 100. I use it 7 to 8 hours every day at my last work. Yeah, I mean, my phone is constantly bloody on. I have to keep up to date with everything that I do online and stuff like that, and the news and all that sort of thing. So I'm constantly online as well. It's not a good idea to be like that, but it's just, I don't know what I'd do without it. Andrea says, if you ever see a chance, can you share your desk setup, how it is laid out? Still changing mine every other week to find something that works. Yeah, I'll take a picture of my desk layout. I'm just the same. I've changed my desk layout 3 times since I've moved here. But yes, I will keep that in mind. I've got 2 monitors here. I've got the Wacom tablet here, a microphone, studio light, my beautiful new logo light on the wall there, which is always something nice, and also my new LED neon light at the back there. 2 speakers, but I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it. I'll put it on the Discord channel. I'll put it on the Discord channel. Kevin Dimich says, hi, how are you? Don't you think CGI were better in the past? We had Transformer in 2008, who was a masterpiece, for example, and now we have The Flash or even the last Superman, which is disappointing. Hey man, hey, you can't say I worked on The Flash. Come on, it's not that bad, is it? But yes, I do agree. I wholeheartedly agree that CGI was 10 times better a couple years ago. I think the reason for that is because I don't want to speak ill of the industry, because I'd love to still work in the industry, but I think that artists just aren't given enough time in studios to actually make the product good. And also, I think there's also a massive issue with rewrites and reshoots of films. And so what they're doing is they're making a film, right, with the intention of making the film A, say. They're making film A, and then halfway through, or 3/4 of the way through, or even 15 minutes, or quarter of the way through, sorry, they'll decide to change everything. And so all the assets that you had at the beginning would be changed, and then it's kind of like a rush job then. You have to rush to get it done. Instead of having like a set idea at the beginning, like completely set in stone, what they'll do is they'll change their minds halfway through most of the time. Most films are like that now. They'll change their minds halfway through, because what happens is these films go to focus groups, and they get shown at focus group events, and the focus groups they get a chance to tell the the marketing team what they thought about it, the film, or part of the film, and then they judge it on that. You see, and then what they'll do is they'll come back with the feedback and decide to change everything. So it's not like the old days where you had a set project and you just did it, and you didn't really care what the audience thought at the time because it was something new, right? It was something they'd never seen before. So how could they judge it? But I think with a lot of these new all these new films, is that they are all established IPs. And so what happens is people have an idea of what that should look like or should be before it's created. And if it's not that, they'll tell the managing or marketing people, and then they'll have to come back and change it because, expectations. People have certain expectations for these established IPs. These established IPs weren't established IPs in 2008 or before that, So I'll take Starship Troopers, for instance. Starship Troopers was not an established IP when it first came out. It was completely out of the blue, completely random stuff, like a random film with CGI in it and CGI monsters and stuff. And so they could get away with it being how it looked because they didn't have to worry about focus groups. They just created a film. And I think that's what, Hollywood should really push to do more, is to not care what they create or budget or no, they shouldn't worry about making things that have been out, like rebooting and stuff, and they should just make something completely different. I just recently watched a film called Weapons, actually, and Weapons is an amazing film. I don't know whoever's in the chat has seen Weapons before, but it's like a very small budget film. I believe it's a small budget film, horror film, and the story was completely different to anything that's ever been, and it just seemed to work. It's and it didn't need to have a huge budget, and it was a completely new idea. I think horror films, though, get away with it a bit more because they are horror films, and they get to explore other genres within horror. But I think these established shots or these established films that are getting reshoots and reboots, I don't know, it seems to me like a waste of time. They need to be a bit more adventurous, I think, and try something different. Although saying that, the Starship Troopers is getting a new film or reboot. Not a reboot in the sense of they're going to use the same stuff from the first one. It's just going to be based on the novel more, okay? Because apparently the novel and the original film weren't exactly the same. And so what they want to do is they want to remake it, but make it closer to the original novel, which I think will be quite interesting. But I'm a big fan of Starship Troopers. Andreas says, trying to join your Discord, but I get invalid. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Let me just try and find that link. Every time I set that up for eternity, like never expire, right? It comes back and it tells me it's expired. I don't know why it's doing that. So I'm just going to copy it and put it in the chat. I'll put the link in the chat for you. If you just copy that and paste, then you should be able to get in. I don't know why it keeps changing. Anyway, Kevin Dimitched. Just gonna say Kevin. It's as if today we were looking for the overbid, and that we no longer work out of passion. Yeah, and I think it's such a saturated. It was such a saturated market. It's now becoming a very unsaturated market because people are being let go in the industry, being made redundant. But yeah, it was just like this huge wave of saturation from 2015 to 2000 and I'm going to say 2020 onwards. So there was a massive like 5-year section where they were just mass hiring because they had all the Marvel films, they had all the reboots and Alien and Predator, all these films being rebooted and Disney stuff as well. So there was a massive hype of artists working in these studios. But I think people are just tired now. I think they want something different, and I think it's starting to tell from the box office revenue. Hamid says, may I ask you what made you interested in creature design and creating fantasy creatures? Was this passion something that started in your childhood or teenage years, or after watching specific film or movie? Sorry. Good question. I couldn't tell you where it specifically came from. I remember early on, but I remember when I was a really young kid, like I think about six or 4. Not that I can remember too much about childhood, to be fair. Basically, there was a book called the Book of Dragons. It's a very old book, but it had loads of these like fantasy dragons in them, cartoony style, not very serious dragons. And then once Lord of the Rings came out, and that was in what was that? It was in 2000, wasn't it? 2001, 2002, something like that. That's when I saw the Balrog and I saw the dragons and I saw the trolls. That's when I started to think, ooh, that's something cool. I'd really like to get into that maybe one day. And then of course you got all the original character, all the original creatures. So you got your Alien, Predator, Terminator, all those physical creatures in film, not just CGI, but physical creatures from those types of films. Those really were inspirational as well, especially the Alien one. The Alien one really was a big one for me, even though it scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. But getting past that, I'm just fascinated by the shapes and the shapes and the way it looks and the different types that people can create and stuff. It's really cool. But yeah, I've just been fascinated with film design. It's mostly film design. I've always wanted to work in film. So I've already done that though. So right now I'm just taking a break from it. I don't really want to jump into that because it's a bit of a shark infested water. No, not really. It's like jumping into the ocean. I'd rather be in the pond right now where I'm happy and I don't have to worry and stress, because it's very stressful working in film. But yeah, I think the old school films really did help me make my mind up about what sort of career path I wanted. And I never actually wanted to do game design. I wasn't really into the whole idea of game design, but it is easier to get into game design than it is to get into film design or film. So that's something to keep in mind. If you want to work in film, but you don't sort of have a very enough experience, then working in game is probably going to be better for you, so that you can then build up experience to work in film. It's only films are very specialized. What's going on there? Films are very specialized practice as well. So you won't do everything in film. You'd probably, what's going on there? 1 second, I'm just going to Dynamish this again. You won't do everything in film when you start off. You'll be more specialized into like departments. So you'll have your creature design, concept design, build TD, texture TD, and all they do is they specialize in specific areas, right? And that's great if you just want to specialize in one specific area in film or game. But if you, in film. But if you want to get the full experience, then games is probably better for you because you do a lot more in game. You do pretty much everything to do with a character. So you learn how to texture, you'll learn how to UV map, you'll learn how to, in some places, even rig a character and stuff like that. So, yeah. Cool. Oh, good. The Discord's working. Good. Yeah, gotta get that sorted at some point. I've got so many things on my hands and in my head right now. I'm trying to figure out. It's just not enough time in the day. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool. Gonna just remesh that quick. Cool. Before I go any further, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to merge the top of the head with the jaw. Now that I'm happy with how the jaw looks, I'm just going to merge that down. And I'm going to combine them by just dynameshing them together. And now that we have done that, we can come back in and adjust it. Clean up the areas, these areas a little bit more. Anything under here as well. I started watching Farscape. Has anyone seen Farscape before? If you haven't, I wouldn't hold it against you. It's quite a old show, but it is actually one of my favorite sci-fi shows. I think it's my favorite sci-fi show because it's not actually part of the big mainstream versions of sci-fi. So like your Star Trek, Star Wars, it's got its own kind of heart, you know. And it's got the stories in it are just amazing and well done for a very small budget film as well, or budget TV show. Okay, so that's the jaw added. We still have to add the eyelids as well before we retopo it. So I'm gonna just merge the eyelid down, or the head down to the eyelid. And when I dynamesh this, it's going to destroy anything in there because the topology is so low. So maybe I just need to come into Dynamesh and just bump this up again, and then Dynamesh it, just to try and hold that detail that was there. And now that that's part of it, I'm just going to incorporate it again. Just make sure it's all cleaned up. So that's the beauty of using multiple models. Instead of just sculpting on one model, it's better to sculpt on separate pieces and then merge them in, or merge them later on once you're happy with the shapes. Right. I think I'm going to leave it there for now. Lovely. I'll do. Check the channel real quick. It says, thank you. It was really interesting for me to hear, and I truly admire your work. Thank you very much. Celestial says, what was it again? The name of the show? Farscape. Farscape, I believe. I could be wrong. One second, let me just find it. Farscape. Yeah, there it is. See here. It was this show. It's like it was an Australian-made TV show, sci-fi show. Very low budget, but it had like 3 seasons plus 2 movies, which back then was brilliant for the time. If I think that if you can get past season 2 and into season 3, then I think you pretty much got a winner. I know that in sitcoms like The Big Bang Theory, I believe if you can get to episode 100, then it gets put into a separate category and it becomes more viable of a show. So it would be like I think it gets credited as more of a viable show than whatever, because what they do is they have that Nielsen's. Was it the Nielsen? I think it's Nielsen. TV family. So basically they come a lot. Well, they used to come to your door and ask you if you wanted to be in the Nielsen family. And basically what it is I think if you've ever seen Family Guy, where Peter Griffin gets the little box for his TV where you can vote on up or down on TV shows. I think that's what they used to use, or what they used to have. And so that's how they would determine whether or not a show was. I don't know if they voted for, if they just showed, or if they just had it on and it just sort of followed the TV channels that you watched. You know, the amount of time on them. But anyway, I think that's what they used to use to figure out whether or not a TV show was a hit or a miss. And then I think The Big Bang Theory, they still use that methodology, and it just kept being a hit, so they just kept making it. Tomorrow says, once episodes go past 100, they go into syndication in the US. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Syndication. I used to like The Big Bang Theory, but I don't know. I watch it now and I just can't get into it. You know, it annoys me more than it actually entertains me now. I think growing up with it was okay. You know, as it was coming out, you grew up with it. But if you watch it again from beginning, I don't know, it just doesn't hit as good. It's the same as Scrubs. I think Scrubs, it's another comedy show. I think they started off really well, but then they just died. I think. Well, for me anyway, they did. Do you know what they really need to do? What Hollywood needs to do? Or Hollywood, anybody in the entertainment sector, right? What they need to do is they need to go back to the formula they used to have back in the late 90s, early 2000s, where, like Farscape, right? Farscape was a sci-fi show with a major story on how John Crichton has to find his way home, right, through a portal, through a black hole or a portal, because he gets lost in space through a wormhole, and he's trying to find his way home. And that's the major story plot, is that he's trying to find his way home. But along the way, on figuring out how to get home, every episode is like a mini story, right? With an overarching overlining story at the end, obviously with John Crichton's story, but every single one's an episodic, and I think that's what we need to get back to. Like they did the same thing with Star Trek Voyager, which I find better than Star Trek Next Generation, because it's the idea of them trying to get back home. So you have this huge overarching story, and then every single episode is a mini story. And I think they've lost the way on how to do that sort of storytelling in Hollywood. Now it's more of like it's more like a 4-hour film being cut into 8 episodes, right? Instead of being like one episode. Let's take Farscape for instance. So there's like a one episode where the ship is invaded by these little micro aliens, right? And then the next episode will be something completely different. They're on a planet and there's like a party planet or something. That's what they need to get into. Again, they need to start making stories like that instead of having constant Hollywoodized major world-ending catastrophe stuff. You know, it's kind of boring. I just want some fun, nothing too serious sort of going on, with a good story and some good acting, I think. That's just me. All right. Okay. So it's at about this point that I'll have a look around and I'll make sure that everything that I want is done on my character the way I want it. So if you haven't got your silhouette the way you want it at this point, or the sculpt to this sort of stage, then keep sculpting until you're happy with it. But at some point, I get this a lot. People ask me, at what point do you stop sculpting, basically? And it varies from concept to concept, to be fair. It could be like 2 hours ago, or it could be another 2 hours, and then I'll stop. But I try to get enough forms into my model before I retopo it, so that it's, you know, basically done. And all I'm doing then is just adding detail, cleaning up the model, and getting it ready for rendering. So, just 1 second. Celestial says, did you watch Murderbot series? Murderbot. Let me just find out what that is. Oh, it's on Apple TV. I haven't got Apple TV. Is it any good? The guy who plays, I guess the guy who plays the main character is the same guy from Tarzan, by the looks of it. I think that Tarzan, the film he made, I mean, okay, Tarzan wasn't a great film, but the build of the guy in Tarzan, the sort of musculature of him, I think it worked really well. It really did work really well. It's a very convincing Tarzan to me, anyway. Okay, where was I? Yes, so what I'll do is I'll come in here. I'm just going to hide everything but the head. And I'll just do a duplicate. And I'm going to hide the top one and keep the bottom one open or visible. I'll grab some ZBrush guides. What this does is just helps the topology sort of, how do I explain this? It helps to make the edge flow of the topology go the direction you want it to go. It sort of nudges it, you know. It sort of gives it an idea of how the edge flow should go. Okay. Yeah, of course, come in here and do the eyes. You just do a circle. You can also do a circle around the nose, nostrils. But as long as you have some sort of idea, giving ZBrush some sort of idea of how things are supposed to be laid out, topology-wise, then that should be fine. So it doesn't have to be exact either. It's just going to be very quick. Okay, so just coming over to geometry, I'm just going to turn off Dynamesh now. Go to ZBrush. Now you can do all these fancy things in here. So you've got your freeze border, your freeze groups, keep creases, detect edges. I don't tend to use any of that. Not for a concept piece. If I'm working on a piece for like a game or a film, then you need to start thinking, when you're doing that, then you need to start thinking 10 steps ahead, right? So if I was making this for a client, let's say, this creature concept, but I knew, because you always have to know, I know that the director is going to come back and he's going to say, I want to change this, 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 and this, right? So you don't really want to have a non-destructible workflow when you're working in film or game. So you'll tend to use a lot of layers to put things on, like detail, specifically details and stuff, as well as in the ZRemesh, you'll have groups. So you'll have groups for the face, the eyes, and all those sort of things, and that can help you to ZRemesh quicker as well. But yeah, it's totally different to what I'm doing in my time-lapse videos. So basically, I'll just go in here, add a couple of lines, and then I'll just go, all right, ZRemesh, target polys, I'll just want 10, and then hit ZRemesh and just wait for it to do its thing. Celestial says it's about robot with his own will. It's fun. Kind of like a Alina Battle Angel, is that sort of thing? Yeah. Looks good. Looks good. Oh, okay. It's done. Yeah, so it'll spit out something like this. Now, it's not going to be perfect topology, obviously, but it's going to be way better than what we just had. And you can definitely go in and tweak the setting of the target polygon count here to make it a little bit closer. So let's say 15 instead of 10. Just gives it a bit more topology to play with, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter about the topology because you're just gonna render it through ZBrush anyway. So it's not too important. There we are. All right, let's say that's gonna be okay. I mean, it's not perfect, but it will do. So what I'll do next is turn on the high poly model. So make sure the high poly model is at the top, with Dynamesh version is at the top, in your new low poly models underneath. And what you want to do is just come down to project and hit project all. And what that's going to do is just going to project all the detail from the high poly to your low poly. And I like to do this in stages. I don't like to go and subdivide all the way up to level 5 and then do the projection, because when you subdivide, you're actually shrinking your model every time you subdivide, because it smooths and shrinks, smooths and shrinks. So what you want to do is you want to project, subdivide, so it shrinks, then project, subdivide, so it shrinks, then project. So it's constantly moving in and out instead of shrinking all the way down. That's the best way I can explain that. So once it's projected, just hit Control D to subdivide it. Now you can check if it's subdivided by going to geometry and seeing it's subdivided up here, but just knowing that Control D is the subdivide should be fine. And I'm just going to hit project again, and just going to keep subdividing until I get around, I'm going to say about 9 million polygons, 10 million polygons should be enough, but we don't even have to go that much or that high for a concept piece. So as long as you have enough detail, enough topology for the detail section, the alphas, you should be fine. Marianne says, I love the Expanse TV series. Sci-fi, detectives, etc. Watched 2 seasons, but now there are 6 seasons. Need to watch it again. Wow. Yeah, I've heard of the Expanse. I think I watched a bit of it. I don't know, I just couldn't get into it for some reason. Maybe I was just not, paying too much attention at the time. Because what I like to do is I like to I like to have something on in the background once I'm doing these sort of concepts, right? That's 2 million. We just subdivide once more. Almost 11 million. Will we get there? Let's try 2 million for now, and we'll see if we need to go higher. But essentially, that's what I do. I project everything, so now all the detail is on the clean version. So just making sure there's no artifact going on, artifacting like broken edges and stuff, and just come out with a smooth brush. You can even put the smooth down a little bit and just smooth the surface very lightly. You don't want to destroy everything you've done, like detail wise. So just very lightly smooth out those imperfections on your model like that. Yeah. Cool. I'll turn everything else back on now. Here we are. Right. So we now have a clean model ready for alphas. So I say this a lot when I'm doing tutorials and when I'm doing live streams, and I get to this point where it's basically a blank canvas now, right? And the worst thing about a blank canvas is, when it comes to the detailing stage, is how do I add detail? Because I don't, when you see a blank canvas and you take your pen and you just start to put it on the page, and you're thinking, I'm going to draw a circle, but then, or let's, for instance, and then you go to draw a circle, but it comes out like an egg shape instead of a circle, and you think, oh, I've just ruined it, right? That's how I feel every time I get to this point. Even though I've done all the hard work, which is all the block out, when I get to this point, I kind of get a little bit, I still kind of get a little bit intimidated by how do I take this to the next stage of detailing, right? I think a lot of people will say that, because at the detailing stage is when you have to start making it look good, right? That's the last 5% of the sculpt, or 10% of the sculpt, that you have to make it try to look good. So the best thing to do, some might say it's a cheat, some might say, some might just say it's a cheat, but the best thing you can do is grab a bunch of alphas from online and plaster them all over your character, making sure they're specifically for the character. So for this, it'll be scales and wrinkles and stuff, right? Making sure it fits the character, just so it breaks that mind, that sort of scared feeling you might have about sculpting onto a blank canvas or a blank model. It just breaks that. So then you have all this detail, then you can just go in and you can just tweak and touch up afterwards. So as I said, I've already got a bunch of alphas that I've added in here. So I'm just going to grab, let's see where we've got here. Let's just grab these scales real quick. I'm just going to see what we can do, because the best thing about Godzilla is he's got a variety of different scales all over his body. So it's really cool. It really does break up the monotony of it. Let me just make it smaller, because I'm going to need to. So a good idea of thumb, or a good idea for this character, is that the big ones on the top are going to have less smaller things going on, right? But the ones along the bottom here are going to be a little bit smaller, and a little bit more varied, because there's a lot of movement in this area. And also, if you look at crocodiles or turtles, lizards, normally the top part is the hardened scales, right? The protection, the armor, even armadillos, and the bottom part will be less protected. Obviously, this is Godzilla, so he has protection everywhere. But that being said, let's just grab. Actually, I want to try something else out first. Where was it? What I'm going to do is I'm going to add the wrinkles in first. So I'm just going to use layers for this as well. This is a great idea, or a great point to use layers, because you can now save the basic model and then come back and add layers so you don't destroy the base model, basically. And I'm just going to pull this out and see how that looks. I think it's a bit too hard. So just bring down the Z intensity. Now, I'm not looking to keep it, to make it look exactly like the one down here. Again, this is our own concept. What I'm trying to do is just break up the base, the sort of blank canvas with this, right? And don't worry if it looks a little bit too intense right now, because the beauty with layers is that you can come in here now and drop it to 0.5%, and you can see the detail is a lot less, which is great. You can add a new layer. You can just keep adding layers, new layers, and building on top of it now. So just grab some scales and just going to put them in here. Right, and we can also use the clay brush and just define them. Yeah. Oops. Now, it's not going to be, like I said, it's not going to be perfect everywhere, but I want to get enough variation in this so that it's not so boring to look at. Because if you look at Godzilla, he's never boring to look at with all the different types of scales and stuff like that on him. So let's just grab that one. And we're going to just add some more fish-like scales here. And they can be very random as well. Hamid says, when you use alphas for creature skins, don't the details overlap, and what solution would you suggest to fix this? So yeah, I was going to get to that. Basically, if you're doing a concept piece like this, I wouldn't worry too much, especially for this type of creature, because there's so much going on. You don't have to worry too much about overlap. If you were doing a very specific like design, like a crocodile has a very specific layout to the scales, right? Nothing overlaps, nothing intersects with each other. It all sort of fits nicely together. That's when you have to then decide on using texture XYZ's type of alphas, which are real life sort of scan data, or sculpting it by hand, which is very difficult and very hard to make look right. Or you'll see in a minute, we'll just go over with a new layer and we'll just go in with the dam standard and some basic brushes and just try to clean up as much as we can those difficult areas. So you kind of saw me do that just around here with the clay brush. So if you just grab the clay brush, you can see we're getting information from both the what do you call it? The top layer here and the new alpha we just added here. So the scales. So what you could do now that you have the scales in there, is just come in using the clay brush and just clean it up by fixing it. And that's what you'll probably have to do if you do this method. Of course, if you're doing it by hand, like sculpting everything by hand, then that's a lot different. And also there's another method where you take it into Mari, and using the texture XYZ textures, you'll then put a texture on and then use that as a displacement map inside of ZBrush to pull the data, the skin data or scale data off the surface of your creature, and then you'll have to go in and clean up. I mean, you're gonna have to go. You have to go in and clean up anyway. It's not something that you're just going to be able to get away with just not having to clean up. Every single character or creature I've ever worked on, I've had to clean up the model so that it works, right? So yeah, it's just one of those things. But if you can try to limit the amount of cleanup work that you have to do, then that it does help in the end. But it's going to be cleanup work. But it doesn't take too long. Okay, let me grab a new layer. So this one, we're just gonna do it by hand. So got these scales under his chin here. Let's just do it like that. And grab the trim dynamic. Just gonna flatten them. Might have gone a little bit too high, but it doesn't matter too much. You see what I'm doing here now? I'm just going in and I'm trying to merge it with the dam stand. I'm just trying to merge it with the surrounding skin so it looks like it fits with the rest of the sculpt. It's quick, it's dirty, but it does the job. Okay. Marian says, I watched one of the ZBrush summits and one guy said that he did 6 to 7 months, 8 hours per day, just scales on the dragon for some cinematic or movie, don't remember which. Yeah, I mean, I watched the creation of Smaug, and I think Weta, they had this pretty cool, what was it called? It's called a script, sort of scale script, right, for Smaug. There was about I think there was 3,000, I could be wrong, but I think there was 3,000 individual scales on Smaug, like unique individual scales on Smaug. They went really like deep with that character. And what they did was they had this algorithm script that would project all these little circles all over the Smaug with different scale sizes, and specifically in specific areas how big the scale should be. And then I think that what they did was they took that as a displacement map and they put that onto Smaug, and then an artist had to go in and do it all by hand. So yeah, it's quite crazy what these artists actually have to go through to just make something look amazing. And I think it's definitely a dying art because, like, as I mentioned at the beginning of this live stream, sort of studios are getting more and more, or trying to do more and more with less and less time. So that sort of skill is getting a little bit lost, basically. Okay, let's try this one. What's that? It's too noisy. It's too noisy. Let's try this one. Okay, this could work. I think it's because it's got only 2 million polygons. That's why or active points. That's why it's kind of noisy. But you can just clean that up with a little bit of smooth brush, just to smooth it out. There we are. And as I said, this is a concept piece, so I'm not too worried about perfection on the top on the scales. Okay, let me switch it up. It's also a good idea to switch it up a bit every now and then. Just switch up the different alphas so that you don't use the same one everywhere. Yep. Oh. I think it's going to be there we are. Let me just grab a new image. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to grab damn standard. Now, I've probably already forgotten to add more layers, but you kind of get the idea. Once you get going with this, then once you have something down, you can just come in the damn standard and just detail it a little bit more, and also use the standard brush without an alpha to add some more depth to it. But the hard stuff is pretty much taken care of because all the detail is now coming through the alpha. So yeah, it's a little bit of a cheat, but it works. Hamid says, in movies, due to the lighting and visual effects, and considering that the subject is usually not static, the overlapping of details such as skin or scales becomes hard to notice, isn't it? Yes, but there's always going to be someone out there that's going to, freeze frame everything, like go frame per frame to see where the issues are on the models and stuff. So that's why they take even though you're only gonna see it for like a split second, like 2 to 3 seconds, they'll spend 6 months making that character or creature, in that sort of thing. And if just for 3 to 4 seconds of shots, and it's just because it's a standard, right? You have to have a standard, I guess, when it comes to creatures. Alpha. Yeah, alpha 40. Alpha 40. I don't think I've ever used alpha 40. That's a nice brush, that. I might have to go up at the upper level, but I'll do that in a bit. Tomorrow says, we are the people that do the free frame. Yeah, exactly. Like I will do that, and I will see the issues if it's on the film. So yeah, that's why we have to make sure everything is perfect. I mean, like I say, I worked on that time traveling film. What was it called? One second. The Adam Project. That's the one, with Ryan Reynolds for Netflix, and I spent a good month from 9 o'clock in the morning to 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning the next day, working on the spaceship, the Adam Project spaceship. Let me just bring it up real quick. So it was coming to the end of the project, but they were having massive reshoots and updates on it. And my job was, I think I've mentioned this before, but my job was to make the damage areas, like the interior of the ship, like sculpt the interior of the ship and make the damaged panels, right? And I spent nearly a month, about 2 to 3 weeks on this spaceship. So you can see there's damage on the wings here and there, and you can see the panels, just about see the panels of destruction there. I spent 3 weeks doing that, from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the morning, pretty much every day, as well as some weekends. And you only saw the shot for like, I don't know, 10 minutes tops, I think. I'm not sure. I haven't seen that film in a while, but yeah, it's not on screen for a very long time. And it's one of those things where, like, if you blink, you'll miss it. And so, but that was the level of sort of detail that they wanted. You know, that's the sort of thing that you have to expect when you go and work in film, is to not have a social life, because some projects need you to work overtime and as well as weekends. So, but you will have a cool thing to put in your portfolio or whatever. So it has its ups and downs, and you also meet really nice people in film, like other artists and stuff. So, all right. Let's just keep going with these then, shall we? Oh, no. Okay. What's this? Oh, that's a nice one. Okay, let's put that one on a new layer. Let's just put a bunch of these going down the length of the top here. And using a smooth brush, just going to smooth it out a little bit. And let's solo this so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. Should we put this on top here as well? Yeah, let's do that. Just going to bring the intensity down a bit. Surface detailing. Just a bit of surface detailing. And what we can do is grab a standard brush, turn off everything, bring up the intensity, and we can just, now we can define them. Seeing as we just added them, we can now just go along here and just define them a little bit. Now, all depends on the amount of time that you spend in this period. Will actually make your final piece look either really good or very basic. Because the more detail you have, the better the conceptual, the compositing side of things will be later inside of Photoshop. So spend as much time as you can going over your model, detailing it. Okay, get in there, get in there. Okay. Not too bad, not too bad. Let's try these spikes out real quick. Just gonna subdivide these until I get to about 1 million. Just gonna see if we've got a texturing here. Whoa, wait a second. I turn back face masking on. This just makes it so that I can't sculpt on the other side of the model. It just helps. You use these ones. Grab the trim dynamic. Just gonna trim it all back. Standard brush. Yeah, put some lines in there. Come with the down standard. Oh, we haven't got the side yet. Okay, let's use the trim adaptive real quick. Marian says, I have that problem. Main form good, then start details and become uglier. Need some practice to make them look good. Yeah, it's all practice, you know, practice. Well, that's a bit too much. So just going to use a trim adaptive just to see how this works, this brush. It might not be the right, it could be all right. The best thing about this is I'm not worried about the topology either for concepts. That's why I like doing concepts, because you don't have to worry about having clean topology and all that. It's just sculpting, you know, straight sculpting. So the trim adaptive is just going to give it a bit of that sharp edge to the spikes. Great for use on rocks and stuff like that as well. Like rock formations, this brush gives you some nice flat edges. Just got to be very careful how you use it. Don't push too hard unless you're trying to force it quite a bit, but shouldn't have to press too hard on it. Down standard. Just grab the 47 again. I'm just gonna break up these edges. Hamid asks, may I ask you, what was your first pen tablet? Was it drawing tablet with screen. No, it wasn't. It was a very basic 30-pound, like no brand tablet, right? It was about this. The base of it was this big, but the actual drawing section on the pad was like that. So it wasn't a proper Wacom tablet or professional tablet. And I think it's a good idea. Well, I mean, today you can't really get them. You can still get them, but they're not very easy to find. If you're a little bit unwary about working or starting 3D or anything like that, and you don't really want to spend too much money, I think the Huon tablets or Haiwan is it Haiwan? Or was it X-Pen? Those tablets, which are a bit more affordable, are a good idea. Don't go buying the Wacom tablet unless you're like 100% sure you want to take this up as a career and take it further. I went from a no brand Wacom tablet, sorry, not even a Wacom tablet, no brand tablet, and then I graduated to a Wacom bamboo tablet, which is this big, very, very small. I used that for about 3 years at university. And then I upgraded again to the Wacom, was it a Cintiq? It was a Wacom screen tablet, 16-inch screen tablet, which I still have today. Actually, it's in my laptop bag, and that was it's like a mini Cintiq version, like a mini Cintiq, but it's not a Cintiq. It's just a pen tablet, display tablet. And I use that for a good 6-7 years, and then once I decided I don't want to move around anymore, because I use that. I bought that because I moved to Hamburg and I lived in Hamburg for a while, so I needed it for that. But as soon as I decided I wasn't going to move much more, I decided to get myself this 22-inch Cintiq. I've got two of them actually. I bought two, one for work and one for personal use, and I haven't looked back since. I really enjoy the Cintiq stuff. Not that the other ones aren't any good, I just prefer Wacom because I've just always used it. Okay, let me just grab this brush. Where's that reference actually? Okay, so we need a dam standard for the gills, and just going to cut in real quick. Okay, trim dynamic. And I'm going to get the, grab the snake hook brush out. And let's just pull some of this geometry out. Okay. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, please feel free to ask. I'll get around to it when I look up at the screen. Cool. Right, let's grab the standard brush now. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull these out. Got some lines in here so they look more like gills rather than just flat surfaces. There we are. Come on. There we go. Now, it might look a little bit too extreme, but that's not a problem. Oh, Marian says ZBrush have like 100 brushes, and when I watch tutorials, people use 10 max. You even use less than that. Yeah, I don't tend to. I think what I've done is I've just become, I don't want to say lazy, but it's just like, if you can master the bare basic brushes, which by the way, every single tutorial I create, I use the basic brushes, the key basic brushes. I don't tend to go down and start using these complex brushes for beginner usage. It's not intuitive, and if you can't use the basic brushes in ZBrush, then you know you're doing something wrong, really. So that's why I tend to just use the basic brushes for my tutorials and my sculpts. I don't see the need for extremely complex brushes. Now, there are some good brushes that I haven't used, and I would like to use more often, but it's not essential. Where's this? Let's try that one. Yeah, just some noise along the surface, you know. I don't want to add too much detail. I just want to add some noise on the surface of the gills there, so it's not flat. Okay. It's not too bad. I mean, it's distinguishable. You can see it. That's the thing I'm trying to get across with these gills. I don't want it to sort of blend into the background too much with all the other details. I want it to sort of stand out. So making a adjustment so that it's less detail on them, but with those little fins just help to bring it out a bit more. Right. I'm just going to quickly add some lines into here. It's where the jaw meets the inside of the mouth here, the gum line. Just going to use a dam standard to detail that out. And grabbing a alpha, just going to finish off down here. Oops, that one. Nope. Let's try this one. I can't find a great one. This will do. Right, now I'm gonna trim it back a bit. Yeah. Just smooth the inside of the mouth a little bit more, where the gum is. Okay, let's add some. Where is it? Let's try that one. Subdivide. I'm going to add a new layer. I'm just going to Is this going to work? I don't know if it's going to work, that one. By the way, let me know if you can hear me on the microphone. It's probably a bit late for that, but yeah, sometimes I'll just start to mumble into the microphone and I'm not sure if anyone's picking it up. Just going to add some sort of detail in here with this alpha. I'm not too precious about it. Clay brush, that'll do. Solo this real quick. Just give it a little bit of an embedding of the tooth. Using the clay brush just to give some soft forms. In fact, let's do that with the stand brush instead. Marion says, you don't do much hard surface. When you at work, do you sculpt weapons, accessories, or just the characters or creatures? Yeah, actually at work I do have to do hard surface. It's not something that I find if I knew it better and I spent more time on it, I'd probably enjoy it more. But yeah, it's just something that takes a long time to do. Especially hard surface stuff. Like if you're doing a creature, or sorry, a character with a robotic arm, you need to kind of think about it before you sculpt it, because it's going to be, sorry, it's going to be very obvious that the robotic arm doesn't work properly in realism, in real life, right? If it doesn't look right. So yeah, it's a tricky thing to get hard surface looking right. And it takes, like I said, it takes a long time. But I do have a lot of sympathy and admiration to artists who sort of sculpt hard surface stuff. It's a completely different skill to organics. But it can incorporate a lot of sort of organic elements in hard surface. So cool. How are we doing for time? 1 hour 48 minutes. Not bad. Oh, there's another thing. I tend to do, which I haven't done actually this whole stream, is I like to change the texture or the material of the concept that I'm doing once I get to the detailing stage. So for the block out, I tend to keep it on the sort of startup material because it works quite nicely. But for the detailing stage, I like to change it up to like a basic texture instead, so the basic material. And this just helps to see the shadows and see the depth of your detail a little bit better, and also freshens your eyes from seeing the same startup material. You can also use the blend. You can also use the blend for this as well, but I find that the specular highlight is a little bit too harsh. You can change it by going over to Material tab up here and modifying it using the specular highlight, or the specular, sorry, in here. But I don't know, it's a bit too harsh for my eyes, especially all that white. So I tend to have a little bit flatter on with using the basic one. Okay, back there. Marian says Kios Masons puts 4-hour video sculpting his new design Randy concept. Amazing artist. I'll have to check that out. 1 second. I'm gonna just check his ArtStation if he has one. Kios Masons. Oh yeah, I know this guy. He has some really cool stuff. We just move over. Yeah, they do. He does quite nice stuff in here. Or they do quite nice stuff. I guess Kios Masons is the company, or the person as a person. Sorry. Yeah, some cool stuff. You see, I really do like sci-fi with hard surface, like this sort of stuff. But again, it's so complex and so time-consuming to do. It's a little bit, another thing I really want to get into a bit more is Marvelous Designer. Start using Marvelous Designer to make clothing. If you can perfect Marvelous Designer, you'll get a job straight away, especially in the games industry and the films industry. It's one of those skills that is always a very big plus if you can use Marvelous Designer. But yeah, oh, look at that. Megatron. That's a Megatron. I don't know if anyone was around during the 90s, but there's a thing called Beast Wars, which is an offshoot of Transformers. And they had these dinosaurs that were basically Transformers with the dinosaurs and stuff. And it was really cool. And also a bit ahead of its time with the CGI. Like that was like some of the earliest CGI that you could find. Let me see if I can find images. Yeah. See, that was like early 90s, or no, late 90s, 1996 TV series of Beast Wars. I remember waking up every Saturday at 6 o'clock in the morning, running to the TV and watching it. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Cool. So let's see what we got. You know what? I think I'm going to leave it there, guys, for tonight. I don't want to rush it. I think it's going well so far, and I don't really want to rush it too much. But I'll leave it there for tonight. And when we come back we'll come back in October. first week of October. I'll try to get it done, the sculpting side of it done, and the texturing and the rendering side of it done in the first week of October, Thursday, so that we can get into Photoshop and composite it, make it look really cool using Photoshop. And I also have to try to I've got to get Keyshot as well at some point. I've got to sign up for that. Oh, it's going to be a lot of money. A lot of money for that. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me just check the chat. Tomorrow says, Beast Wars, I wonder what the actual age range of your audience is. I'm pretty old. Yeah, I'm 34 years old, so I was born in 1990. So yeah, I was 6 years old when Beast Wars was a thing. So yeah. Okay, cool. That's gonna be it. Oh, Kevin, you're 33. You're 1 year younger. Lucky you. Yes, so that's it for tonight, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. I just want to say thank you to Marion, you're 35. So we're all about the same age then, so that's good. Yeah, so before we go, I just want to say thank you to all my YouTube members. Just going to turn the comments off real quick so I can get to them. 1 second. There we are. So I just want to say thank you to all my YouTube members. We have quite a lot of you guys now, and a lot of you are moving up to the 6 months and 2 months, which is great. I really want to thank you for, subscribing for so long. I hope these live streams are worth it. And you're really helping to keep the lights on and to upgrade tech and stuff like that as well. So, and also create new tutorials and stuff in the meantime. So I just want to say thank you to Blake, who is a new member of tonight. So thank you, Blake. Tygon Wang, Fantin Dat, ZBrush Argentina, Yozokan Eek, Yodai Hirata for being new members. By the way, I'm going to butcher everybody's names. 1 monthers. We've got DigiLocker Art and Design, Krishnash Sharma, KO Caesar Sculpts, or CO Caesar Sculpts, Joseph Monroe, Souza, I think I spelled that wrong, Omega, thank you for being my new 1 monthers. 2 months, I've got Abishk, Paswan, Wesley, Beatswat, Shira Phoenix, Dylan Dixon, Asian dudes, all these symbolic Asian dudes. Thank you very much for being members. I can't say your names, but thank you very much for still being members. MHN Artist, EMAC 3D, EFPV Section Civil, Black Socrates, Sunel Verma, Tobias HK, and Home Slice Creative. 6 monthers, I just want to say thank you to Joseph Bonkowski, Dave Newhouse, Mateo Selek, Alpinative 35, Ganesh, Jason Burgoyne, Joe, Lewis Mateus, Ivan Savoyne, Maria Carvalho, and Nicholas Anastasio. I hope I said those right. And also to all my patrons as well. I'm missing people from tier 1, which is a bit of a pity. I think the guy gave up. Tier 2s, Alberto R.D. Lafleur, Best in Shot, Gradual Boredom, Jason E. Canville, Joseph Bunkowski, King Amp, Chrono, Lost in Limbo, Mackay 903, Rafael Diaz, Shabicio Malepo, Thassa, and Tom Uro in tier 2. And in tier 3, Aaron Tobman, Anika, Ecole, Francois de Pelatoge, good lord, Erwin Vandermine, Gabrielle Ganesh, Hofi76, Jack Boer, Jeremy Mock, Mahaver, Roger, Tyler Kraus, and Yavuskan. Yavuskan. I hope that's right. And also my Asian friend at the bottom. Oh, yeah, I'm not good with names, but thank you all very much for being members. I'm just gonna check comments real quick. Let's see if there's anything in here. So, good night, Marian. God bless you too. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Kevin and Hamid. Thanks and keep up the great work. Well, thank you very much. I hope everyone's gonna have a great weekend. I'll see you all on Monday for the anatomy sculpts. Just 1 second, turn this music off. I think everyone's sick of it now. Yeah, so I hope everyone has a great weekend and be back on Monday for the arm sculpting that we're going to have to do, what we're going to do in the anatomy tutorial. And I'll see you all there. Take care, guys.
Thanks for watching. If you're interested in more exclusive content and want to support my work further, then please check out my Patreon page at MLW_creative for more. Also, view past live streams you might have missed in Tier 3 tutorial support, where I will be archiving future streams moving forward. If you are interested in other full-length tutorials, brushes, and models, then check out my online stores for more useful content. I would also like to thank all my subscribers and patrons for supporting me for this long. Again, thanks for watching and stay safe.